Hi, friends. Thanks for tuning in to the Mental Fitness Unscripted podcast, where our conversation will encourage your healthy living journey. Inspired by our Team Quadzilla coaching motto, healthy living starts between your ears, we talk about mental fitness in ways that challenge us to think about our thinking regarding topics like habits, leadership, exercise, values, marriage, parenting, and faith. Our hope with this podcast is to sharpen you as we sharpen ourselves to be all we were made to be. So let's dive right into the conversation on this episode of Mental Fitness Unscripted.
Hey, Chad, you're wearing your Soup Nazi shirt. I love it.
Yes, go Soup Nazi. Yeah. It's my son and I have a policy that we wear whatever's on top of the pile.
Okay.
So that all the shirts get cycled through, and today was Soup Nazi Day.
Soup Nazi Day.
Okay.
I love it. So I haven't counted. How many T-shirts do you own?
Well, too many. In fact, I'm also not awesome at this policy, but I do kind of have a policy that if I'm going to add a T-shirt, I have to chuck one so that I'm not constantly growing the pile. Like I say, I'm not awesome at this, but it is something that I keep in mind. You know, what am I going to replace this with if I have a new shirt? And
so I have done so many Spartan events. My wife was getting so sick of Spartan shirts.
I bet.
Anyway, she came to me and she said, "Can I have your shirts?" And I said, "Well, I really like them. What do you do?"
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a year ago Christmas. She had taken all my T-shirts, and I have no idea that it was a bunch of them, and made a quilt out of all my event T-shirts. So I have them all. It's in one thing.
Yes.
And it doesn't occupy a third of my closet. So anyway.
Yeah.
I still have too many T-shirts.
Yeah. My mom makes those quilts. I have two of them, 2 T-shirt quilts. One that captures all of my youth that I took to college with me. And then she made me another one, I think shortly after that, or maybe when I got married or something. But yeah, that's such a great way to save some of those favorites that maybe get a little too funky to wear anymore or worn out otherwise, that you can still keep it.
I worked so dang hard for these. I was really careful. I wouldn't work out in them.
No, okay.
I was really careful with them. And so it was like, what are you doing with my T-shirts?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a story behind this. Just quickly. So I did that event. I had that heart attack. You probably remember a little bit of that story. I was wearing a Spartan T-shirt and they cut it off of me. And so that kind of started this whole thing.
Okay. Gotcha.
She got the idea. Oh, they cut his shirt. I'll cut his shirt. But then she made me a quilt. So anyway.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's the short version of that. But
yeah.
Well, Happy New Year, 2025.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I can't believe it's here. It's wild. Just wild. I just finished an event that we started in August, and that went so fast. Anyway, so New Year, what you got? I'm sure you've got stuff. I know you, so I know you've got stuff going on. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, so I'm probably overly reflective, and especially at this time of year. And so Angie has to remind me not to spend too much time in my head trying to evaluate and, I don't know what's the word, just taking it too far in terms of, what happened, what was good, what was bad, kind of sifting it all out. And then what does that mean for your future? I think there's value in those exercises, but for somebody like me, I can take it too far and I can either get overly ambitious, and sometimes at the same time being maybe overly discouraged about maybe what didn't happen or where I have failed or fallen short or whatever. So just trying to temper all of that part of who I am and my personality. And that's why I really liked how the last few weeks we talked about the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned the one word exercise. And so I've come up with that. I have a one word that for the third year now that I've got it written on my whiteboard over here, that is gonna kind of focus my attentions for what I hope to encompass the whole year. I mean, you know, like we've talked about with identity, it's like, who do I want to be? Well, I want to be the type of person who is intentional. I want to be very intentional, especially about how I spend my time and energy. And so that can fill all kinds of roles in my life, but that's the focus for me. Last year, it was about communication and how do I improve communications in the different roles that I play. This year, it's going to be intentional. Inspired in part by some of our conversations here where we talked about things like the mindless scrolling of social media and things like that. So I'm really making a conscious effort to get rid of a lot of those meaningless distractions and live much more intentionally about how I'm choosing to spend my time and energy. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where I'm hoping to head for the new year.
That's great. What I like, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you kind of touched on who am I becoming?
Yes.
You know, it's funny, you see advertisements and hear them on the radio. I don't know about you there locally, but the local gyms
Oh yeah.
are just
Oh my
relentless
gosh.
on
Yeah.
advertising right now. Hey, we've got this deal, 25
Mm-hmm.
bucks, you're in, you know, let us help you get your resolutions put together. And I didn't look this up, but I know a high percentage of New Year's resolutions have to do with weight and health and
Yes.
fitness and you know I know it's a really high percentage. I don't know exactly what it is. I should have looked it up before this, but it's interesting. I, I I heard that I heard a commercial and I thought, man, this is their Black Friday time.
Yeah. Right.
You know, the first 3 months or whatever. This is their Black Friday time, and so they're going to hit it hard because you know people they think about this stuff. Um, and then the thought came to me, okay, what happens with resolutions? You know, why do those trail off?
Yeah.
And just my own thinking, I think it's because we make it about the thing and not about who we want to become. And you know, we kind of
Mm.
keep circling back to this. You know, it's our values and who we see ourselves, our identity, and so forth. We keep circling back to this, but I
Yeah.
really think that's part of it. Is you know, it's not the thing; it's who I become, not only during, but you know, even before. Can I be committed enough? Can I become that person that's committed enough to do what I know needs to be done to become who I want to be?
Yeah.
If that makes sense or not, but anyway, I'm just kind of I heard that advertisement and it just spurred that thinking on, you know, why do people I don't go to the gym because I don't like the environment, and that's just me. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
judging. I just don't enjoy it. Okay. Um, I and my phone keeps going off here. But I I I actually am I like working out alone.
Mm.
I will go with somebody, but I actually really enjoy my own space. It's my own,
Yeah.
it's my me time, I guess you might call
Sure.
it. And you know, I know for some the gym is there. It's kind of a social thing. And anyway, I've never enjoyed going to the gym because I don't want to fight somebody over a 35-pound dumbbell, or you know, the whatever rack, or yeah. I, I want to do the stair steps, or I want to do the rope pull, or yeah. Anyway, so just call me a loner, I guess. But, so I'm not
Well,
judging. I'm not judging that, but you know, I hear people say, "Well, oh, man, it's so hard during January, February. Everybody's there, and it's always busy." And and I'm thinking, well, yeah, people really feel deep down that they want to have something happen, but then it tapers off, and then everybody's trying to sell their membership to somebody else, and you know, so I wondered about that, and I thought, okay, what drives that? And I really came down to that thing. You know, it's more about who I'm becoming. It's my identity with it. Yeah, I want to look good, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, why do I want to look good, and who does that make me become? Is it because I look good, or you know, you can approach it a different way. I want to feel good, or you know, in my case, I want to get down on the ground and play cars or Barbies, or boy, confession time here, with my grandkids. I want to be able to do stuff with them. The other day we were up in Island Park, which is in Idaho. It's just outside of Yellowstone National Park. So it's up in the mountains. It's quite remote, and a great place, a lovely place, one of our favorites. But it snowed about a foot while we were there for 3 days, and the grandkids. Let's see, how old is Ellis? He's about 8, so he's 7 right now. His brother's 9. They had a couple of their cousins, and they got together and said, "Hey, we want to dig a snow cave." And I thought, well, cool. And so we dug a snow cave, and I was able to do that. That's who I want to become. Is I want to be able to say, "Oh, you want to do that? Let's go do that." So we were sledding up and down the hill, and we were digging this snow cave, and I was out most of the day in the snow and in the cold, but we had a great time. And you know, that's what I want to do. Is I want to be able to do those things and not have it be a second thought. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's why I work out.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you're right. We do talk about this a lot, but it's important because I think so many of us are missing this idea of how habits actually work, and how our brains work, and some of the tricks that we play on ourselves, especially this time of year when we're full of ambition and motivation, and you know, the advertisements are up in our face, and you know, it's a great deal, and you know, all of these things are playing in to get us to do something, but it's not connected at that deeper level that really is meaningful when it gets hard. And so I think understanding how the interconnect between our identity and our habits, they are together. It is, you can say it both ways. It is our habits that shape our identity, just as our identity shapes our habits. Because, I mean, it stands to reason that the things that are important to me as my identity are the things that I don't have trouble being motivated to execute.
That's
right? Because that's who I am.
Yep.
But until you've made that connection, whatever is this ambition or habit that you're trying to pursue is going to be a struggle. And so how do you get around that? Well, I'm in the middle of Atomic Habits again. You know, James Clear is his famous book about habits and how they work. And
great book.
He's very much a proponent of this link between identity and instead of saying this is what I want to do, he's like, train your mind to say instead, this is who I am, or this is who I'm going to be, and what kind of person does these things? Well, a person who's consistent, or a person who, gets up early or whatever. And then, you adopt those activities and you start very, very small in building a habit, rather than saying, well, I'm just going to lose 40 pounds this year. Well, okay, how are you going to do that? He would suggest break it down to the smallest, simplest possible thing that you could do to start, and make that the habit. And it could be as easy as setting your shoes out in front of your bed, so that when you wake up in the morning, your shoes are there, so that is the trigger for you to put them on and go do something. That's very different than just saying, well, I'm just going to go to the gym every day, because there's way too many steps ahead of that you're not going to do when it gets hard.
Yeah, I can't find my socks, or
yeah. The snooze is way better.
Oh yeah. And one of the examples he uses in that book is smoking. He said, many people want to stop smoking, and they make that a goal or a resolution or whatever, and they say, I want to stop smoking. And the point that he makes is okay, that's great. Stopping smoking is good, but who stops smoking? And he says you've got to take on the persona, or the identification of, I am a non-smoker. And that looks very different than, okay, I'm going to quit smoking.
Yeah.
To I'm a non-smoker.
Right.
That looks.
Yeah. Instead of saying I'm trying to quit, you're still identifying as a smoker that's trying to quit.
Yep.
But if instead you say, well, I'm just not a smoker. I'm non-smoker. So this doesn't tempt me. This isn't interesting to me. It is not who I am.
Uh-huh.
Now you're getting somewhere.
Yeah. And there again, there again, getting up and running or going to the gym. I am a healthy, whatever identification you have to take on. I'm a runner. Okay, well, you may not be running yet. Maybe you take 5 steps and walk 5 steps, or whatever it is. But you have to make yourself take that identity on. I am a runner.
Yeah.
Or I am a CrossFitter, or whatever it is. Maybe you're not good at it. I've been there.
Mm-hmm. Some people will say that this is a little foo-foo, or this is a little kind of out there, and I would say we already have assumed so many things about our identity. And if you're a man watching this, and you're introducing yourself to somebody, what's one of the first things that you tell them is it's what you do for work, right? It's like, hi, my name is Chad. I'm a project manager. Oh, really? That's my identity, is I'm a, project manager? Okay, that fell out of my mouth pretty easily. So why then would it be such a leap to say that I am a healthy person, or I am a non-smoker, or I am any of these other things? Because we're already doing it.
So do you consider yourself a perfect project manager? I mean,
oh my gosh,
where you've taken that on as your identity and it just rolls right out of your...
No, and in fact, I am very conscious of that idea, that I do not want my identity to be tied to what I do for work. That's not who I am at all. And so I will even say so awkwardly that this is what I do, but it's not who I am.
Yeah.
So somebody will be like, well, what do you do for work? And instead of saying I am I'll say I do this. And if it doesn't catch the other person, it does for me.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not associating that identity with who I am.
Yep. And I guess the point we're making here is you're much greater than what you do.
Yeah.
Much greater.
Yeah.
I mean, your potential is so much higher. One thing I love about the medical practice, notice I used practice.
Yeah.
You know, they practice as a doctor. You know, we even call it that. Well, you know, he's got a doctor's practice. He's a doctor. And that's just the language inside of there. And I've always appreciated that because, you know, I'm a practicing marketing.
That's right.
You know, you're a practicing project manager. And I like that. I've always appreciated that about the doctor's practice.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's true.
Just that wording. So I'm a practicing runner.
That's right. Yeah, we can make kind of light of the semantics involved here, but I think there's real value in that that distinction.
And I think the reason it's important is because, you know, people say, well, I need to be motivated. And it's almost like we abdicate that motivation to something outside of ourselves.
Right.
And I have this theory. This is purely my theory. You can argue with me, and I think I'm on pretty solid ground. I'll argue it with you, but you know, I think motivation comes from within us on who we see ourselves as. You know, back to identity. We identify with that, and that's where our motivation comes from. Can we be inspired? Absolutely, and that comes from. I think it's both inside and outside resources, but true motivation comes from within me.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not I get up in the morning, that's on me. It's not Les Brown or Jim Rohn. That's on me. I have to make that choice. You know, I can listen to Les Brown and he can yell at me and, you know, get up and. And that's inspiring. It really, I love Les Brown. He's very inspiring. Jim Rohn, others, but you know, Tony Robbins. I almost forgot his name. I've got his book back here. Anyway, you know, yeah, they can yell at me. That inspires me. But the true motivation, the one that, you know, the person that makes the choice, is me and who I see myself as.
That's right. Yeah.
I think there's a big difference there.
So I want to touch on one other little idea about the habits, because this is what's happening at the start of the year, is we're thinking about, you know, even if we have sorted, this is who I want to be, well, now what? And so in Atomic Habits, there's the 2-minute rule. And I love this. This is fantastic. It basically says that you need to break down your habit almost in the same way that we have talked about finding your why. You keep asking why, and you're drilling deeper and deeper and deeper until you get to the real root of why you want to do or be anything. In the same way with our habit, we also need to work backwards, drilling backwards into what is the next, the previous simpler thing to do that gets me toward that goal. And the author would say, make it to be something that you can do in 2 minutes or less, so that it's easy, making it very easy to do, making it very convenient, setting up your environment around you so that it's obvious and easy to do, and get that ingrained. And then move to the next step from there. And to me, that's a fantastic way to build momentum and to start the path of that habit formation, rather than just saying something like, well, I want to lose 40 pounds, so I'm going to go to the gym every day. Well, there's way too many steps in front of that need to happen before you're even going to get to the gym, let alone do something worthwhile at the gym. So how do we break that down into something really small and simple and get good at that first.
Yep. And unfortunately, it's not stepping on the scales. It's got to be those little things like get up in the morning and go running, and choices of food, and making a menu, and just those little things like you make it easy. See, if I have a menu, I don't have to make a choice on what I'm going to eat.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's already decided. You're just following the plan.
Yeah. And so, I love what you've said. You've just got to pre-plan this and just think it through and kind of trick yourself, with that menu in place, you'll be able to avoid the fast food urge because, I don't want to make a decision on what I'm eating tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go to, McDonald's or whatever. No, that's absolutely critical. But see, that's another piece of who I'm identifying with. I'm a person who lives by a menu. Therefore, I make a menu. And the motivation is okay, I'm going to make this menu and I'm going to follow it. And if you've already pre-planned that and already made the decision, you don't have decision fatigue every time that, what am I going to eat for lunch today? So.
Yes. Yeah, these are such great reminders.
I like that.
Especially right now, because we're all scheming and planning and, trying to figure out these things that we're, so motivated to do. And I think, again, we've said this 1,000 times, but it's a theme of our conversation is that we just got to slow it down and pause and think about these things and just, be real with ourselves and, take it one small step at a time. We didn't get into the mess that we're trying to undo overnight, and we're not going to fix it overnight either. So we got to buckle up for a process here.
Exactly. And there is a process, and I love your t-shirt because if you don't live the process, no soup for you.
No soup for you. That's right.
And I actually like that concept because there are, I call them laws. You want to lose weight, there are certain things, there's a law that you have to do. Now, are we all different? Yes, I find different things work for me than others, but there is a certain law, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I met a lady one time, she only ate M&Ms. That's all she ate was M&Ms.
What?
And she said, this helps me lose weight. And I never understood the concept, but what's funny is she never lost weight, but that's all breakfast, lunch, dinner, M&Ms. That's all she ate. And I'm thinking, oh, wow. How are you getting your vitamins? And
yeah,
I guess peanut. Well, she did love peanut M&Ms, so maybe there was a little.
Yeah. Well,
I haven't followed up with her for many, many years, but I was just reminded about that.
Well, the thing about living healthy that we're both very attuned to is, I agree with you 100%. There are a few very basic laws that must be followed for you to live healthy. Right. Conversely, there's a million things that you can do wrong and do badly to ruin your health. Yeah. So, let's not deceive ourselves that we can, trick the system here by, doing the stupid things.
Yeah, I call them principles and processes. The principles don't change. Those are the laws, okay? But the processes, you can innovate the processes.
Sure.
If you look at things that, we make a big deal about innovation. They've always existed. The principles exist. They just do, and you're not going to change them. You and I. Stephen Covey calls it this. He says you can break yourself against the law. Actually, it was Mark Twain he was quoting, but the laws stand, and you and I can break ourselves against the law.
Right.
But we can follow the law, and we can innovate the processes of how we follow the law. It's like the theory of flight. there are certain things. I mean, even gravity
Yes.
works to make an airplane fly. Now, can I innovate? Absolutely. You know, I can use different engines. I can use different wing structure. You know, I can innovate those processes, but I cannot innovate principle.
Right.
It just exists. I can't change it.
So for anybody out there who's being enticed by a fancy advertisement that says this is the way, if it is against these laws and principles, you need to run for the hills, because you're just going to waste your money and your time on these things that simply aren't going to work.
Well, it's like doing your job. I mean, you know, you'll see things that, hey, you can earn money at home. You can earn $200,000 a month working at home doing X, and I believe that happens. I really do.
Sure.
But don't get fooled. You know, to your point, don't get fooled that you're going to do something that's outside of the law. And I'm not talking about the justice system. I'm talking about the sun coming up. That's a law. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, orbit is a law. Gravity is a law. And there is a law of success, and we can go into that. I can spend days on that part.
Sure.
You know, there is a law. Notice that I said one law of success. And you can innovate all the processes of whatever you want to be successful at, but there's one law. Stephen Covey says it's the law of the farm, and law of the harvest, the law of the farm. You know, and he said everything is attributed to that. There is a price that you will pay to be successful at whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, at the demise of something, you're going to succeed. So there's always something that you've got to pay.
Yes.
Always.
Always.
Wow.
Man, heavy stuff today. Hitting it hard at the start of the new year.
Wow. What's funny is there's enough substance behind what we've talked about here. We could probably do the rest of the year on a podcast talking about it. So anyway.
Right.
Law of the farm.
Well, by the time this airs, most of us will have already chucked our resolutions, because
maybe we should have
our
done
ambition
this back in
faded.
October so that everybody was prepared. Oh man, who am I going to become?
That's right. Yep.
Oh well, we'll change this year.
That's right.
It's who we're becoming.
That's right. We're gonna become the type of person who, fill in the blank. That's the mission this year.
That's the mission this year. So, and by the way, I took your advice. I chose a word for my year.
Yeah, fantastic.
That was hard. That
was
hard.
Cool.
I'm actually kind of excited about it. What's funny is this is a law, okay? You put it out there, you'll find it. That's a law.
Yes.
That's a law. You put it out there, you'll find it. And see, man, you know, there's a lot of good words. And what's funny is it came to me because I was looking.
Yes. Yes. Fantastic.
I was listening to this gal, and she said, I love this word. And it was actually at a dinner party that we did this before Christmas. And he said, you know, I love this word. And she explained it. And it was like, there's my word.
That's the one.
And
it
wasn't even on topic. I mean, it was just a casual conversation. And bam, there it was.
Cool. All right. So what is it? Come on, you're leaving me hanging here.
I'm going to leave you hanging.
All right.
I think everybody needs to choose their word.
Yes. Yes, they do. For sure.
All right. Chad,
for sure.
I think should we wrap it up, or you got more?
Yeah. This was good.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And Happy New Year to you. Let's make it a fantastic year.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff.
Indeed.